just keeps striking me as, like, unfair that we get both the size of this, like, behemoth. I guess behemoth is actually the name of one of the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's the size of a Leviathan.
Content warning. This episode contains brief discussion of suicidal ideation.
Welcome to Inchworm.
The podcast in which we're inching through Worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
We read... What is it? Extinguish? No. Extinction? What's it called?
Extermination.
8.5. Yeah, the ending of this chapter was one of my least favorite moments of anything ever.
Ooh.
Which Ted knows because I finished it and then immediately sobbed on him because I was so upset.
Yeah, sorry I didn't give you a heads up this time.
Well, I was saying to Ted after that one of the side effects of this podcast is that you're going to have a really detailed understanding of what my fiction buttons are.
Yes.
What really bothers me in stories. Her being treated like a disposable villain by the medical establishment after what she did to protect people from Leviathan was abhorrent. I hated that so much.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of it could be a little bit like showmanship, like maybe they're just checking in on everyone, and it's not that they abandoned her with a broken back and a broken arm in a medical bed because she's a villain. Maybe they just are doing really efficient triage, and hopefully she will get healing, because I would be very surprised if the rest of this book featured Taylor with a broken back, though fascinating twist, and I would definitely be into seeing how that goes. But I suspect that's not what's going to happen. Yeah. But we'll see.
Yeah. But it's right. It's not just you. Taylor is in a very bad place mentally by the end of the chapter.
Yeah. And physically.
It's very, of course. Yes. It's
and a very bad place in that she's in that hospital.
It's not looking good.
Yeah.
But why don't you get us from where we were last episode to the hospital bed?
Yeah, so what happens is she had just let the armband know that she can track Leviathan, and the armband said they would send her a teleporter. So Lady Photon and Laser Dream show up. They look devastated, having just lost Shielder and potentially other members of their family.
Yes, Manpower is Lady Photon's husband.
Was he also deceased?
Yes.
I did not register that. Yeah, okay.
It makes sense because we saw him briefly in Arc 7, and he's been mentioned a couple of times.
Oh,
but
okay.
With Aegis. Aegis and Manpower both died at the same time.
Yeah, so they're looking real devastated. Lady Photon puts a force field around Armsmaster's shoulder where his arm was torn out, and she tells Laser Dream to take Armsmaster to get help, and Laser Dream's like, no, I'm a better flyer and more likely to be able to do damage to Leviathan in battle, so you should take him. And Lady Photon clearly doesn't like that. But Lady Photon does take Armsmaster, and Laser Dream flies off with Taylor, sort of bridal style, I think, because of Taylor's broken arm. And Taylor is using Laser Dream's armband to communicate Leviathan's location. So they get to witness the real devastation of the town.
Yeah.
We also learned that Taylor's power has about twice the range it usually does, which is a phenomenon we've seen before from her, not to this extent. We should definitely talk about that. There's a wave that comes through, but Taylor's in the air, so it doesn't make a huge difference. Pass over the shopping center closest to Taylor's house, and Leviathan turns from that and goes downtown. Taylor does not necessarily feel better because she doesn't know where her dad is. He could have been turned out of the shelter nearest their house, and he could be anywhere. She also notes that the neighborhoods that weren't where the heroes were fighting were actually hurt much worse by Leviathan's power because there were no force fields to protect anything from the waves. So entire neighborhoods are just flattened. This city is devastated. Laser Dream wants to follow the wreckage, but Taylor's like, no, he's definitely over here. And Laser Dream's skeptical, but does follow her guidance, and Taylor locates him downtown, and Chevalier's like, you sure? And Taylor's like, yeah, pretty sure. And so they all convene at this spot that is the building where Coil has set up in the basement.
Interesting.
Yeah, we don't actually see Coil. That doesn't come into it, but that's where sort of the next section of the fight happens. Parian is fighting with giant stuffed animals, but really just sort of animated cloth. She seems to have some sort of telekinetic power to, like, use needles to sew huge stuffed animal-like things. And they are huge but not strong, so Leviathan does dispatch them quickly. But of course, the goal here is to just keep him busy, bide their time, stall. So her stuffed animals get batted away. Hookwolf dives in. Browbeat tries to fight and gets killed. Shadowstalker and Flechette open fire, and Flechette's beams in particular seem to be doing damage, the little needle-like arrows. And then Leviathan gets covered in a curtain of darkness. So Gru is somewhere nearby.
Gru's around.
We don't see Gru, but that happens a couple of times. Leviathan learns, like, oh, I can just move to the side to avoid this darkness, but it does buy the capes some time to attack him, get in some good blows. Taylor's trying to find someone to give the halberd to, but doesn't manage to. Hookwolf gets torn in half, thrown at Shadowstalker. Another cape goes in, but it seems like she is not experienced in combat and she's too slow, which creates an opening for Leviathan to attack Flechette. But Trickster manages to swap Flechette with the cape who is just fighting Leviathan and saves Flechette. And it seems like the other cape can take the blow. A couple other people fighting him, and Taylor thinks like, okay, so we have the upper hand, but this isn't necessarily good because when the Endbringer is cornered like this, that's when he does something really devastating. Taylor sends a few swarms of bugs shaped like people at Leviathan just kind of as distractions. Brandish attacks but gets knocked down. It's just kind of this, lots of heroes taking their turn.
Right.
And then Leviathan opens a sinkhole into the aquifer, I guess. People start, dropping into the water. Taylor is struggling. She can't really swim with her arm broken, and she can't find the ground to push off of. But then Laser Dream grabs the halberd that Taylor's holding and hoists her out of the water, saves her and Parian and flies them away, but can't really fly very far with them. And there's a rescue effort happening. Trickster and Velocity are pulling some cool moves to get people out of the water. But Leviathan is moving around underneath and seems to be deliberately targeting the capes and just assassinating them under the water. You get a lot of people dead really quickly. No one who has been super prominent in the story so far. I think Strider was the good teleporter who does get killed. And then we get a report that one of the shelters has sprung a leak and they need help evacuating, so Laser Dream is going to go. And Taylor's like, no, please take me, because she worries her dad might be there. And Laser Dream's like, And Taylor's like, I know, I'm sorry, I know your arms are tired, but we can fly low, you can drop me if you need to, we need to stick together and I can potentially still be helpful. So they leave Parian, they fly to the shelter, and they find that it is being flooded. It got damaged in the recent action, and Taylor is able to offer the halberd to the capes who are trying to open the door, which is really effective, and they get into the shelter, and the people start evacuating because the shelter is flooding. But then Leviathan shows up, so people run back into the shelter. Laser Dream and the two capes who were trying to open the door all go down, and Leviathan is there in the shelter. Taylor has been looking around, can't find her dad, does see Mr. Gladly, who's there with his wife, girlfriend, which really bugs Taylor. We can talk about that moment. But Leviathan forces his way into the shelter, and Taylor's able to escape. And she's like, this is kind of like what Mr. Gladly did to me. When I was really in trouble, if I hadn't had this whole cape thing, the bullying definitely could have been the end of me.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of doing this to him. She escapes from the shelter. She's able to save Laser Dream from drowning, it seems like, able to flip her over and make sure she's breathing. And she reports that Leviathan is at the shelter. No one else had called that in yet. So Chevalier, who seems to be centralizing the fight right now, is like, okay, well, we'll try to get help, but our best teleporter's dead. And Taylor's like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to do better than Mr. Gladly. And goes back in with the halberd and is able to, despite the water that's kind of pouring down and making it really difficult, is able to strike a blow below his tail. Kind of knocks him off balance. He's suffered a lot of damage. The halberd turns to dust, the stuff that it touches.
Right, it's still got the nanotechnology going.
It's real good. And Leviathan turns on her, but she has a better escape route than he does. So she runs out, forms her bugs into a bunch of swarms, and coats herself with them so that he'll have a bunch of targets to chase. But he is able to throw the after image of a claw at her. It slams her into a car, and the worst pain she's ever experienced, even with the Bakuda bomb that was like a pain bomb. And she tries to get out of the water, but her legs don't respond. She's like, okay, well, either I've been torn in half or my back is broken. Seems like it's the latter. And she lies there trying not to breathe in because she's underwater. And we get a long sequence of her drowning, basically.
Yeah.
And she can sense with her power Leviathan running down the street, and then he kind of stops and he senses something. And then Taylor gets pulled out of the water. It's Bitch, who has a bunch of dogs with her and is using them to attack Leviathan. But Leviathan is just killing them left and right. Like, these dogs don't stand a chance. And he ends up killing all but one of them. And then Scion shows up. And, you know, I asked, how do you bring Scion into a fight like this without it being anticlimax? And it turns out the answer is, after your hero has just been incredibly heroic and then had her back broken.
But I also love, I mean, we'll talk about it, but when he appears, it's also written as an anticlimax. It's just like, and then Scion dropped out of the clouds.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
there's no, like, announcement. There's no, like, we saw a golden light on the horizon, and here was Scion. It's just like, oh, Scion's here.
Scion dropped from the sky. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about Scion, for sure.
So then we get the fight. Scion seems to be very good at dispelling whatever effects Leviathan has.
Yeah.
Like, he'll just, like, send ripples out where he walks.
He just makes the water go still.
Yes, and can shoot golden bursts of light that turn the tidal waves into just a gentle sweep of water. And also can shoot Leviathan and do damage, and seems to have some sort of disintegrating power, like Leviathan throws a car and Scion, like, bats it away and it kind of turns into little scraps. And he's also able to turn the edges of Leviathan's wounds into scraps, kind of eat away at him through his injuries. Eidolon is also there, freezing some of the water. We get a kind of fun narrative moment of Scion looking at Eidolon, and Taylor's like, wow, you really can't read anything on Scion's face, but, like, kind of looks like he's disgusted by this fifth most powerful person in the world.
Yeah.
So Scion disperses a tidal wave, but as that happens, Leviathan is able to escape, and so Scion's chasing after him towards the ocean. And that's them gone. Eidolon goes with them. Then a teleporter shows up to rescue Laser Dream, because I think Taylor had pressed the distress button on her armband, and he notices Taylor and Bitch and is like, oh, do you guys also need help? And Bitch is like, yes, Taylor needs help, and, I mean, she doesn't use her name, but drags Taylor very painfully over to the teleporter. The teleporter takes her to a hospital where suddenly she's placed in a bed, super painful. A nurse comes around and does a couple, like, really quick things, like a heart monitor, an electrode on her. Doesn't do, like, an IV or anything that would be helpful, but just, like, a monitoring thing, I guess, probably part of some sort of triage system they're doing. Taylor's trying to say her back is broken, and they ask for her name and whether she's a hero or a villain. Taylor tries to evade, but a PRT guy is there, is like, she's a villain, and gives her classification. Taylor tries to ask about Tattletale, and they're not even listening. And the PRT guy manacles Taylor to the bed, including by the arm that is broken, which Taylor tells him that. Yeah. And then she's like, wait, please. And they just both leave. And they leave her there, chained up to the bed, in horrible pain with her back broken.
Yeah.
Alone, as it says. So...
You're
infuriating.
Right. That is a lot.
She just risked her life over and over again, saved a lot of people, and this is how they're repaying her. Like, I do think they're going to heal her. I mean, we're not going to get, like, chapters and chapters of her just being chained to a bed and, you know.
Yeah. I think you're right. The word triage is the most likely explanation. Yeah. Right? It doesn't justify, like... To me, the moment of cruelty with her broken arm is really awful. And
I wonder if that guy was at the gala.
Well, I was just thinking the same thing, right? He's local. He knows her well enough to, like, know her rating, and he uses the fancy words for controlling bugs, right? Like
master.
And the other thing, right, I was talking about Taylor's mental state.
Arthropodovoyance.
Right.
Arthropodokinesis.
Right.
Such cool words.
I was talking about her mental state. When she breaks her back and is drowning, that whole sequence is, like, awful to read. It's very well written. She has this bit, she starts just thinking about, it's funny, I'm drowning, but I can actually see because the lenses are made out of swim goggles. And she sort of is dissociating and starts talking about how she built her mask and her internal monologue.
I was so excited to get the answer to my question of, like, wait, she wears glasses. How can she see through her mask? Did she, like, build lenses in? She did.
Yeah, she built lenses in. But then when Bitch picks her up, she's, like, talking about her voice is feeble. table and she's like, I think my back's broken. It's so clear that she's in shock.
Oh,
and then when she gets to the hospital, the shock is fading and she's getting confused and scared.
Yeah.
And right, so as she is rapidly spiraling mentally, she's getting changed to the bed. And it's just like, the circumstances have mounted to leave us at this awful, awful low point.
Yeah. On the one hand, I can see their point of, like, not wanting villains running around their hospital. I mean, running around. They're all mortally wounded.
Yeah, it's not going to be running around. But
maybe you can't ascertain that in every case, and it's just easier to be like, oh, this is a villain. Okay, we'll just chain up all the villains. We just won't have to worry about that. But, like, they're good enough to help in the fight to the death, but they're not good enough to receive medical care without being chained up. Like, I feel like the fact that they were willing to, trust them to be around during the fight, they should extend that to the cleanup,
Yeah.
This is...
Yeah.
I'm so offended and outraged. It's outrageous. Yeah. That's what it is. It's outrageous.
And we've had, in the arc so far, a few moments of tension about, like, well, what does it mean the hero and villains fighting together? We have it's so surreal to see Armsmaster and Kaiser together. We have Legend being like, good heroes.
And villains.
Even in this chapter, Laser Dream kind of says something sarcastic to Taylor.
Yeah,
and
like,
Taylor's
you want me to drop you?
Oh yeah, I'm a villain and I was mean to her cousins.
Yeah.
And we have the reminder with Mr. Gladly of just, like, authority and Taylor's run of awful luck and reason to distrust it all. So I guess what I'm saying is the battle is over, but the event is not over.
Yeah.
And this is some of the tension that while people are fighting for their lives, it doesn't come up, but it's coming up here and it's coming up for Taylor.
I gotta say, much as, like, most of my annoyance is directed at the awful PRT guy and the nurse for treating her that way, I feel like Taylor should have known better than to get herself into this situation. In a global sense, not in this particular fight. Like, no blame to her for anything she has done in this fight against Leviathan. But, like, the thing that she wants most is to be a hero. Like, she wants to be able to do things like fight awful monsters that are going to hurt humanity.
And she's really good at it. And she has let herself get into a position which she, like, knew she was doing. It's not like she did it by accident and isn't realizing until now. Right.
But she let herself get into a position where none of the people who would ally with her in that fight will trust her.
Right.
Because, whatever you want to say about the stupidity of, like, I'm going to infiltrate this villain gang and then, I'll let Armsmaster know and then, like, I'll eventually turn them in, but, like, I don't have, like, a handler on the outside or any emotional support beyond this except for my dad who doesn't even know about this. Like, that was stupid. But, like, her deciding to stick with them in the name of friendship, even though she knew they were villains and she is not willing to be a villain, I feel like having seen this arc, like, that decision seems stupider to me than it was.
Yeah.
Like, even at the time, I was like, that it feels odd that she is not prioritizing her principles. But, like, her principles are she's so brave. She cares so much about the consequences to the town. I mean, I guess I know why, and because they're her friends, but, like, it was so stupid to let herself get into this position in society.
Well, right, but I want to defend Taylor here a little bit. I mean, hindsight is 20/20.
But it's not like she didn't know how villains are treated,
Of course. But it's certainly a direct result of her impulsive decisions in Arc 2 and Arc 3. Mm-hmm. Right? But as it keeps going, it feels like more of a tragedy of circumstances and narrative than necessarily Taylor being stupid, right? When she chooses friendship, she is acknowledging that she has been acting as a villain and she's done things that she's ashamed of, right? Like, when she carves out Loong's eyes, she's getting to do something and be a hero after having had the worst, day of her life, maybe except for her trigger event, like dealing with this school meeting and stuff. And here she is able to, like, actually prove herself and do something. And then you keep kind of going back in each of the steps, and it's like, okay, well, but which was the stupid decision? Like, what were the things? Like, we've been with her the whole way, and I'm not sure that there's like one thing that I would point to and say, like, you know, this is the moment where you made an obvious mistake. Mm-hmm. Right? You know, like, she went to Armsmaster and he was such a dick to her, right? Like, of course it's stupid not to be like, okay, you're right. You know, even though you were so awful to me, objectively you're right, and I'm not going to go forward with this job, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Armsmaster is awful to her, and she's like, you know what? I'm going to show him. And she goes and does the bank job, right? You kind of keep going back. Is she really not going to hang out with these kids who are reaching out to her when she's so depressed and alone?
You know what she should have done? She should have joined the wards. Seriously, yes. Though. Like, I think that would have been a good move for her.
Yeah.
We know kind of why she didn't, because she does have this distrust of authority, and she was afraid it would be like the school thing again.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know, at least go find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
See what vibe you get from them. Because, like, when we saw them, it didn't really seem like they were jerks.
Yeah. Well, there's sort of no going back once you've outed yourself, I guess. You know, there's a lot.
Yeah, and I'm reminded also of what I said recently about she's probably being acted upon by Coil's power in a lot of this. Like, if we're going to say it's a tragedy of circumstance, because I do understand why she made her decisions at all these points, though I still feel like she should have taken her principles more into account when deciding to stick with the Undersiders in Arc 6.
Right.
But if it's in part a tragedy of circumstances combined, her character meeting these circumstances, then the circumstances could very well have been engineered to push her in these directions by a superpower.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, it is a tragedy that Taylor is such a hero and isn't going to be able to get that recognition, or at least the respect, or at least the allowance to be free.
Yeah. I mean,
that she deserves after what she did.
Right. I just have the reaction. I get to the end of the chapter and I'm like, nobody chained Skitter in a corner. I'm like...
You're like, kill these people.
Yeah. Like, the Kill Bill sirens are going off in my head. I'm like, come here, Swarm, save her, right?
The problem is with this kind of back injury, she's not going to be able to do that dance with Patrick Swayze.
I know. And I will say it's been tough a little bit on the reread to correctly predict like where the chapters end and stuff.
Yeah, right. Because who would ever stop at this point?
Right. This is so devastating, but without spoiling anything, Arc 8 ain't over. Like, we're going to keep reading.
Yeah, but that just makes me worry about what else is going to happen. I do wonder, we have not heard, I don't think we've heard anything about even Glory Girl in this battle. We definitely haven't heard anything about Panacea.
Correct.
I assume Panacea is going to be going around healing all the people. It'll be interesting to see how that goes when it comes to Taylor, who she already has beef with.
Yes.
But also, Taylor saved Laser Dream's life. Like...
That's
I don't know if Laser Dream knows that. But,
that's true.
But also, Laser Dream did see Taylor being, heroic and helpful, potentially.
Yeah, and Laser Dream chose to save Taylor's life.
That's true. So, potentially, that helping her cousin in that way will make Amy want to save Taylor, even if she's bitter about it.
Yeah.
I did have the thought when Scion showed up, not to get too sidetracked, but he is described as... golden-skinned, golden beard trimmed close. Or perhaps it never grew beyond that length. His hair was longer than mine. I was like, he sounds like an American picture of Jesus.
I made the same note, like, you called it last chapter, and he shows up, and it's like, yeah.
That's like how the Americans draw Jesus.
He's walking on water. Yeah. He turns his cheek when he gets hit with a blast from Scion. I mean, but it's all right there.
I assume he can heal people. I don't know if that's something he routinely does. It sounds like he's more dealing with crises. But I was like, if he incidentally heals Taylor as he's walking by, like, that is such a, like, reborn narrative.
Oh, yeah.
Like, reborn in Scion.
Yeah.
Would just, like, double down on the Christ thing. But that's not what happened. I assume that Scion is going to be too busy chasing Leviathan out to sea and then responding to other crises
getting
to,
distracted
like, heal
by,
people.
like, a sad crab or something. I was sad to hear that the crab army theory was crushed officially in this chapter when Taylor thinks there just aren't enough around.
Oh, did she mention crabs?
She mentioned crabs.
That. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on.
There was a lot going on. We got sidetracked again.
But we know there aren't enough crabs around because Leviathan got rid of all of them because he knew Taylor would be OP with a crab army.
He knew. Exactly.
She already did a great job with just her bugs.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can circle back to predictions, as we go or at the end. What should we talk about?
I know, right? I want to know why Taylor's power is so much stronger right now.
Okay, yeah. What are your theories?
So it's possible this is just a thing with powers where under duress, like where you have adrenaline, they just get stronger. Or maybe some of them do, and Taylor's is one of those. Mm-hmm. I really want it to be the case that her power is just getting stronger.
Ooh.
Because that's just so fun. Everyone loves a character whose power is growing.
Right. I mean, she's certainly done enough sort of karmically to earn it.
We did hear about potentially like second trigger events, but like if that were a thing that happened to capes routinely, then every time there's an Endbringer fight, everyone would get like new superpowers because they're all going through these extreme experiences.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. It's been mentioned enough that I'm looking forward to follow up on it.
Yeah, it's an ongoing mystery.
Yeah, I think we're going to get more about it eventually. I'm really curious. Like, what the heck is Leviathan's deal?
Yeah,
I've asked this before. Like, what does he want? Very unclear.
There was some really interesting...
Extermination of capes, maybe?
Notes. Yeah. Well, we ended the last chapter with Leviathan's heading for a shelter. But then we had this weird thing where his target ends up being Coil's base, ? Oh,
I never thought of that he's actually aiming for Coil's base.
Or it's a total coincidence, but he also took a circuitous route to get there, which is weird. Like, it seemed like he was heading one way and then he turned. But so, like, what is that about?
Can he sense powers? Can he sense things working against him?
Right, yeah. Is there something going on there? And then, but after that, I mean, I guess he creates a huge crater on top of Coil's base. Like, I don't know what that means, but... Then he does end up going just to some civilians in a shelter, planning to slaughter them. So, that's not going towards a source of power.
It really keeps feeling unintuitive to me, because he's really big.
Yeah, he's like 30 feet tall.
He's this huge monster, and yet his attention is focused on the level of like, oh, I'm going to kill these individual people. Oh, where is this person hiding?
Right.
I'm going into the shelter with a bunch of people. Like, I feel like he just shouldn't care. Like, it feels like they should be like beneath his notice. Yeah. And it just keeps striking me as like unfair that we get both the size of this like behemoth. I guess behemoth is actually the name of one of the other ones. Yeah, okay.
He's the size of a Leviathan.
We get this enormous monster by size, but then also his attention is focused on the level of like human-sized things. I'm like, ugh.
But I mean,
worst of both worlds.
Sort of, thank goodness, because that's how Taylor's able to save those people at the end, is because she makes herself the priority target, right?
That's
Leviathan's
true.
like, there are no capes around, I'll just kill these other people, and then Taylor
does such a good job.
Yeah.
Really, everything she has. Like, I was so glad to see her using the halberd in multiple ways.
Yes.
I remember in the Uber Elite fight where she had the backpack, I was like, is she going to use? And it didn't come up. And this time the halberd came up.
The halberd is such a beautiful prop for this chapter.
Yeah.
Like, she just picks it up kind of last minute to fly away with Laser Dream. And she gets to the fight with Leviathan, and she starts looking around for, like, who can use this? Mm-hmm. And she's doing the inventory thing, but she's not a glory hound about it. She's not like, I'm going to run in there. She's like...
Right, she's trying to give it to someone stronger.
There's got to be somebody who can use this, but it's better than me.
And that doesn't work out.
It doesn't work out, but that's such good luck for her, because the only reason she doesn't die in that big crater is because Laser Dream is able to grab the halberd and lift her out of the water.
Yep.
Which is so amazing. And then Taylor convinces Laser Dream to let her come with. The, nanotechnology is able to easily cut through the door so that people can start escaping. And then finally, that halberd is annoying enough to Leviathan that she can save, all of those dozens or like 100 people in the shelter by getting herself killed by Leviathan. Right. But the fact that she is
not killed.
Well, right. I mean, yeah, but also another, miracle coincidence that she makes it out after. Yeah, but just the fact that her persistence and instinct to like keep a useful tool around pays off so many times is like so satisfying and such a fun part of the chapter.
And her bug people were really effective. Like, not the strongest tool against Leviathan, but able to buy a moment or two in that big group fight.
Right. They're about as effective as Gru's power. It's every second counts, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when she's escaping from him, she doesn't get actually slammed by his claws or anything because he is chasing. There are many bug duplicates running away. So she gets slammed by water into a car, and she probably would be dead if he'd just, stepped on her.
Oh, yeah. I read that more as like he was able to dispatch enough of the swarms quickly enough that she wasn't able to do it. But maybe I'm misreading and more he didn't even hit her directly.
She was one, because it was just the after image of one claw that hit her. Yeah. So I think having been hit with something other than water could have been much worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, she did such a good job. She passed her persuasion check in getting Laser Dream to carry her to the shelter.
Well, that was such a funny, I feel like Taylor was having some trouble letting Laser Dream make calls, right? She was kind of backseat flying a little bit.
That's also something she does.
No, right. But it's like the flip side of the communication problem that I was harping on last chapter is kind of just that Taylor's not that trusting. And I was almost going to say she's not that persuasive, but then she does actually sort of check in with herself, overcome her awkwardness, and makes the case directly to Laser Dream. And it works, you were saying. Right. Yes. She passes the persuasion check. She's able to communicate effectively. But her instinct is not towards cooperation.
No, she's very bossy in a fight and does view other people as tools or obstacles.
Exactly.
And she gets very single-minded and analytical and is this is what needs to happen, and makes sense.
While we've mentioned Laser Dream a bunch, did you have any reaction to her or the new wave saga of this chapter or fight?
Gosh, yeah, I mean, their family, so much tragedy in this entire arc. Yeah. But their family's really been hit hard.
The thing that hit me in this chapter that I really wasn't expecting to hit me is that early interaction between Lady Photon and Laser Dream, where Laser Dream, again, being a hero, right? She's I have to stay out here because I'm better, and Mom, you need to take Armsmaster back. And there's this moment where Lady Photon pauses, and she's clearly thinking, I can't lose you too. And then she swallows that feeling because she knows it's the only choice that you can make as a hero.
Yeah.
And then lets Laser Dream go off.
Yeah.
And again, right, Laser Dream saves Skitter saves Laser Dream from drowning at the end, right? I guess we don't know. They both made it to the triage tent, right? And that is enough.
Hopefully. Yeah. I mean, we didn't get a huge amount of insight into Laser Dream's personality, but I liked her. I mean, she clearly was making decisions for the greater good and willing to sacrifice herself and was competent about it.
This was another really nice thing about Taylor's role in this arc, right? That beginning conversation, they say okay, well, you take the girl. And Taylor's a little miffed, well, they don't know my name. But to me, it's almost a reminder that Taylor's not the main character to the other people. Yeah. And Laser Dream's story in this battle is just as compelling.
Oh,
I would read the Leviathan arc from Laser Dream's perspective.
Uh-huh.
And in fact, with the new wave costumes, white, primary color, they're all a family. I feel they're the CW parahuman show, right? And then of course this is, the most tragic episode where all the actors get written off or whatever. But Laser Dream losing her brother, losing her father, right?
My God, yeah.
It's awful. And despite all of that, right, she doesn't crack. She saves this asshole villain who's been mean to her cousins because, they've
work
bonded
together.
in some
They're
way.
Useful. Yeah. And she goes down at the end just like Taylor does, but does get rescued from the water.
Yeah.
And goes to the triage tent. Or the hospital. I mean, I don't know where it is, but...
Right.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious, how come Scion can't kill these things?
Interesting.
I guess I don't know that much about Scion's power. It doesn't sound like many specifics are known.
You sort of described in the summary, what he demonstrates.
Yes. But we don't know really the limits or, the specific parameters. But like, come on, Scion, there are only 3 of them. Just kill them.
Right.
You show up to these fights and you manage to drive them away, but you can't kill them. Come on. This is why if they were able to bring him in at the beginning of the fight, when there were actually more capes still alive, maybe together they'd be able to kill one of these things.
Right. Yeah. Well, that also, you wonder about we know sort of that the Endbringers have pretty sophisticated targeting systems, right? I wonder if Scion's around, they don't, like if Scion happened to be rescuing a dog in Brockton Bay, would Leviathan have picked a different target?
No, but if they're able to summon Scion.
Right. Then, the Scion signal. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I did want to clarify. I think I suggested that the top 5 capes in the setting were Scion and then Eidolon is number 2, and then like Alexandria, Legend, maybe Dragon.
Yeah.
The top 5 thing is clearly, and thanks to somebody on Discord for pointing this out, clearly Scion, the 3 Endbringers, and then Eidolon.
Yeah.
I think
That's how I interpreted it in this chapter.
Yeah, exactly. But in this chapter, it becomes clear that Eidolon's number 5, all other capes are below that, and the Endbringers and Scion are in a league of their own.
Which I guess makes sense that Scion can't kill them because they're just so tough.
Yeah. I mean, so what else do we learn about Scion? He doesn't do laundry.
Yeah, his outfit is dirty, even though
Bloodstained.
he is like perfect. Because of course, he doesn't ever stop. It is a curious question. I think this came up in the last arc. Like, why does he have clothes? Who gave it to him?
Right. He didn't always have clothes.
Yeah, that's true.
He was naked.
He had a human contact at some point, and I want an interlude from that person's perspective.
Yeah, for sure. What do you make of his expression?
Yeah.
When he looks at Eidolon, I'll read that.
Yeah.
His expression was so hard to read. I knew now what people had meant when they said they thought his face was a mask, a facade. Though it was expressionless, though there was nothing I could point to explain why I felt the way I did, somehow I sensed disgust from him, like nobility looking at dog shit.
Yeah, that's a little bit baffling. We don't really know anything about his interiority. We don't know if he has ever been human. We haven't gotten to see him through Tattletale's eyes.
That's true.
That would be cool. Would love that. Assuming Tattletale is alive. Yeah, it could make sense to me because we've talked a little bit about the way that Scion saves people is sort of, it's almost the, effective altruism? It's almost an inhuman, like, maximizing of your, like hero maxing.
But his utility function's a little off because he's not just like sitting at a power plant, turning a switch, creating a utopia,
Well, it's debatable. But compared to someone like Panacea, who's trying to be a human, but also has this power that is constantly needed and could be used at every second of the day to save people. And, there's no one else who can do, presumably, what she can do.
Of course.
So if he is, in fact, not human in his thinking, impulses, any of that, like, it could be sort of a, these crawling creatures who want and need things, like, I am a perfect machine or something. Though you'd also think, like, if he's, like, above, separate from all that, like, why does he care? I don't know. Yeah. And it also brings into question his motivations. Like, why is he constantly saving people if he doesn't like them? Like,
right. It's also, this is the second time we've seen Scion. He was in the TV documentary in Interlude 1. But he also had emotion on his face then. They remarked that he looked sad.
Oh.
It's so interesting to me that we had sad Scion in Interlude 1, and here we have disgusted Scion. So many years later, in very different circumstances.
Maybe he just has beef with Eidolon particularly.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah,
Eidolon's really powerful.
Right. And he's sort of the most mysterious of the triumvirate so far. We got a little bit more from Alexandria and Legends, this arc than we did from Eidolon.
Right. He seems to be a little bit holding himself apart. Yeah. If there is this sort of Christ-like thing going on in more than just imagery, if he is actually like somehow a part of this cosmic being that Miss Militia saw, then it would be fascinating to have like a god who is disgusted by humanity and yet still is working to save them.
Right. Yeah, that also invites the question of why. Like, why is he stopping all of the avalanches?
Unclear.
If he,
He just wants things to be tidy.
Oh, interesting. Well, it kind of fits with his power, though. Like, he, the wave comes at him, and he's just like, no, wave.
Yeah. If he wanted things to be tidy, he'd clean his clothes.
That's a great point. Well, maybe he hasn't looked in a mirror for 25 years.
Never flies over water. Come on.
Okay. Yeah, well, okay. I guess the last question, did you feel like the Scion savior moment worked? Because you were kind of saying, like, it's a tough thing to pull off. I was wondering how you felt when Scion did show up.
No, I think it did work because Taylor had been so destroyed.
Right.
And because we'd just gotten the tragedy of Bitch hurling her dogs at Leviathan and then all of them getting killed, which...
Oh, no.
Well, losing Bitch's dogs, especially because we don't know which dogs these were, though presumably 3 of them were, or 2 of them maybe, I don't know about Angelica. That's not as directly impactful to the reader's experience as like, oh no, our main character has her back broken.
Right.
But it still is, like, what pathos in that. Like, all of these heroes have been fighting and fighting and fighting. So many of them have been dead. And then we get to see him, like, you know, kick the dogs. And
Yeah.
like, it's such a bleak moment.
Yeah.
Like, no one else is even fighting him. It's just Bitch and the dogs.
Yeah.
And it's just hopeless. He's just slaughtering them.
Yeah.
And then Scion shows up. It felt like the sort of dual tragedies of those 2 things really earned that. Especially because Taylor had done the most heroic thing that she had done this arc.
Yeah.
Of, like, running back into the shelter with the halberd and physically fighting Leviathan herself.
Yeah.
Despite not having any power in that regard.
Yeah.
She just had a tool and...
Yeah, any
sense
person,
of purpose,
any person could have picked up the halberd and done the same.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't know, you know, who else would have known
any
was there. But...
able-bodied person who's fit enough to lift it.
Yeah. And I just loved the whole, her thinking about the Mr. Gladly thing.
Yes, it's such a out-of-nowhere callback.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful.
It works so well thematically that could be the only reason it's there. And I also have to wonder, like, there's a moment where he's looking at Leviathan and he has, like, some sort of weird expression on his face. It's like his face is, like, oddly red and his mouth is pressed together. And I was like, is this going to come back? Does this mean something? Like, it's one of those moments where you're like, this could have been planted here and made thematic so that we can get this information, which will be relevant later. It might not have been, but I was... It sort of pinged for me as a potential thing that might come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, this thing where she's like, yeah, he abandoned me to people who could have killed me.
Yeah.
Not directly, but like if she hadn't had this whole separate life to live, you know, she could have ended it.
Well, and this is, I think, one of the most direct, like, Taylor has never thought, I almost killed myself.
No, yeah.
But this is basically, it's barely subtext here.
Yeah.
That she's saying, without my power, without this to live for, I don't think I would have gotten through the rest of the semester.
Yeah.
Without killing myself. And that has come
I'd
up.
like to think she'd at least drop out of school first.
Of
but
course.
Maybe not.
Of course.
But
the way that Lisa saw her and was like, are you being abused at home? Like, what is going on? Like, you're in such a
deeply not okay.
depth.
Yeah,
deeply not okay. The way that she is kind of, as long as we've known her, been willing to throw her life away. When her back is broken and she's drowning, she actually says, I care less about dying than I do that it's really disappointing to me that I'm just going to be staring at mud through my swim goggles as I go out.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's something in that, like, of course I'm going to go fight the Endbringer, that is, like, connected to her trauma of where we meet her, of, like, just not having a lot to live for.
Yeah.
And that still being a part of her, even as she is building this new identity as Skinner.
I think conversely, she does fight for her life really hard.
Of course. True.
She does not have a death wish in this. Like when she is drowning, the number of times that her body is trying to breathe and she won't let it.
Yeah.
And she's really fighting hard. She's clinging to life. So I think you're right that she is willing to sacrifice her life. She's willing to put her life on the line, but she is not eager to throw it away.
Right. She does not have a death wish, but I guess the connection that I'm making is, and I mean, it's possible that she never actually felt suicidal. It might just be kind of this feeling of like, if I didn't have my power, I'm afraid I would have gotten there.
But feels I think, more true to me, but you never know.
I think it's the not okayness that she was feeling, the lingering trauma of that, I think, is not putting a lot of value on her life outside of what she can do with it. It's like part of her having
That's
a
a good
purpose,
point.
right?
Yeah.
She's living to be a hero. She's not living for herself. Like, I think that's kind of the...
Yeah. Right, because
the
the whole
feeling I've had.
internalized, like, I am a dirty crawling thing
Exactly.
was only counteracted by, like, oh, and now I can be a cape who can accomplish things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't have a death wish, but she doesn't value her own life.
Yeah.
In a significant or healthy way, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, so she is able to make that really just beautiful mirrored thematic connection to like, oh, what I'm doing to Mr. Gladly by running away is what he did to me.
And she thinks he deserves it.
Yeah.
Right? Like that I love that too, because as much as we keep saying she's a hero. I mean, she's also
a human.
Right, she's also a human. She's also a supervillain, right? She's all of these things. But I love that she doesn't like Mr. Gladly. She doesn't look at him even about to die and feel sorry for him. Mm-hmm. She feels a very normal human response of like, you know what, buddy? You deserve this on some level.
Yeah.
And when she comes back, she doesn't think, he deserves to live even though he's awful. She thinks, I have to be better than him.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's so well written because it's like, it's sort of plausible that she's decided in this moment to just walk away, right? And then you find out, like, of course, number one priority, you got to radio for help.
Yeah.
Number two priority,
she ran away for,
you got to go, get yourself killed and save people, right? Like,
right. She ran out, let Chevalier know that he was there and that we needed more help than Taylor could provide. And, saved Laser Dream's life while she's at it and got the halberd, which she didn't have. She wouldn't have been able to do anything against Leviathan without that.
Yeah.
So, she was not, in fact, running away, but
her
going back in there is still, she's like, okay, I have to pull this off. I have to.
Yeah. It's just like, how can you not love her? Like, it's just, this is why you want.
Then she gets manacled to a bed.
Right, this is why.
Broken arm.
Right,
Yeah,
this is why it hurts so
hurts.
much. This is
what she does.
Oh, man.
She ran in to stab Leviathan in the ass with a halberd.
Yes.
And save everyone's lives.
Yes. I do want to call out the passage that Mr. Gladly is like with a woman and Taylor's like, it really sucks that like there are other people who like him out there, right?
She feels like this woman is someone who like validates him and likes him and like, listens to his story and is like, yeah, you are the cool teacher.
Yeah.
When really he's the worst kind of teacher.
Yeah. Well, this is another just like Taylor's not the main character moment, right?
Yeah.
Where she just has this sudden realization like, oh, like he has a full life and this woman has a totally different impression of him than I do.
And this woman's wrong and she should know it.
Well, yes, of course. Oh, man. Yeah. Did you have any other feelings about Bitch showing up?
Oh my gosh, Bitch. Oh, devastating.
I think it's a coincidence. I don't have any reason to
I think
suspect that, but,
Bitch went to get the dogs and now is finally making it back.
Yeah, presumably. But there's a part of this that feels like Taylor looks out over all of the people and it's like, Tattletale is there somewhere, but it's not efficient for me to be the one. But we do have here an undersider coming to another undersider and saving her life. And Bitch being, I think Bitch would have fought Leviathan anyway, just because she's there to fight and that's kind of what she does. But I think in this moment she is doing it because they're the next target, right? Bitch and Taylor are going to get killed when the dogs run out, right? Like, and she is there. She's saving Taylor. She's willing to sacrifice her dogs. No, of course. But I'm just saying she's being heroic in this moment.
Oh,
she's doing what Taylor and Laser Dream are doing.
Yes.
Even if she's not, like, she didn't get an armband, right?
Right.
She just happens to be here.
And it's so funny because, like, Tattletale said to Armsmaster in that one of those first chapters, like, you better not be saying what I think you're saying, because I think you're saying that Bitch's dogs are expendable because they couldn't take a blow from Leviathan. So what are you saying, buddy? And here we see that, in fact, it's true, but she's using them anyway. She's he's having them sacrifice themselves.
Yeah.
Which must hurt. I mean, we see that it hurts her so much.
Yeah, the description of pain and loss on her face
howled
is
a primal raw sound that must
devastating.
have hurt her throat as much as it hurt to listen to.
Yeah.
And then, another one is dead. Bitch looked from me to the dog as if momentarily lost. In an instant, that look disappeared, replaced by that etching of rage and fury. She screeched the words, "Kill! Kill him!" And he just keeps killing them.
I mean, it almost went without saying, but we left them on a terrible note, right? Taylor betrayed them and walked away. And their connection was enough that in this moment on the battlefield, Bitch is saving her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so meaningful.
Yeah.
The arc of Rachel and Taylor so far arriving at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting now the Undersiders will know that Taylor's alive because presumably Bitch will tell them, assuming that they are, safe and okay. I wonder if there's going to be, I don't know if the villains who helped fight Leviathan will be taken into custody. That actually seems like they couldn't do that because if that were the case, villains would never show up again.
That's
so that would
probably
be actually
reasonable.
really bad
That's
policy.
probably reasonable. Yeah.
So she probably doesn't need to be rescued, but I do wonder if they'll reach out, where is she going to go after this?
Yeah.
What's Coil doing,
Yeah. Unless his base got sunk in.
I mean, Coil is going to be rebuilding the city is what he's going to be doing.
Yeah. We did get a little detail that Taylor's like, oh, this shelter is built kind of the same way that Coil's underground base is built. I like that detail.
Yeah. But, okay, so the Undersiders... Tattletale is down. We don't hear anything about Gru. Presumably, Gru survived the sinkhole because he wasn't mentioned by the armband.
Right. This is one of those things where it's I don't know that we got all the armband reports, but I'm I feel like if Taylor saw you in this chapter and you didn't die, you're probably okay.
Yeah,
but I don't know if that's 100% true.
So we think Gru is probably okay. Bitch is okay at the end of the fight. We have heard nothing at all about Regent in the entire arc since...
Yeah, well, he got knocked out in the first wave, according to Tattletale's interlude.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
I don't know if it was armband down, but there's that
okay.
moment when Tattletale's clinging to the side of the roof, and she's like, it's time for you to help, Regent. And her power's Regent got knocked out by the tidal wave.
That's right. Oh, okay. So that's why he didn't do anything. I was kind of yeah, it's weird that he never got mentioned. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
All right. So he's probably fine. He, wasn't reported as deceased, but...
Right.
Yeah. Reasonable to hope that he will recover from that. But, yeah. Whew. Okay, so that's the state of the Undersiders. Bitch has presumably lost most, if not all, of her trained dogs.
Yeah.
I hope that Brutus is the one still alive because that's, that's the leader of her pack. I mean, she's the leader, I guess. He's the second. But I don't know.
Losing any,
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Losing any of the three would be awful.
Yeah. Probably Angelica didn't come fight because she was...
That's
really
true.
Sick.
That's true.
So Angelica is probably still, I mean, sick, but not dead. And probably we lost at least one of Judas and Brutus. And hopefully not both, but maybe. We'll see. Which will mean that Bitch is going to be much less effective until she can train new dogs, in addition to the emotional blow of losing her dogs.
Were there any other, capes that stood out to you? I feel like there were a few. You mentioned a lot in the summary. I was struck. We lost Strider, the teleporter. And it's so funny because I was when he showed up, I was whoa, I forgot about that character. I'm surprised that he's such a good teleporter. I was and so
he dies.
The reason I don't remember him and why they don't have really good teleporting is because he dies here.
That's interesting. So they don't have good teleporting in the rest of the story.
Well, sorry, I don't mean to spoil, but they don't have.
So when they break into the bird cage, they don't have a good teleporter.
They don't have somebody with exactly Strider's power. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. I'm sorry. I also
teleported the entire group of them over to...
Yeah. Right. Well, it's sort of why doesn't Alexandria warp into every, every city all the time? It's well, she probably was until this fight. Right.
Right.
We got a little bit of characterization from Chevalier right at the end, which he seemed kind of casual and a chill guy.
Yeah.
He's shit. Our teleporter's dead. Good
we'll
luck
do
out
what
there.
We can. Yeah. And actually, no one really shows up except until Scion. But I guess Bitch does. But I think she was just following the chaos.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you're right. You mentioned Parian. You mentioned Browbeat. Hookwolf gets torn in half, but can still sort of demorph from his hook form, which I thought was really interesting.
He's someone else go fight, but he's fine.
Yeah. the Shadowstalker and Flechette, like, attacking Leviathan was interesting, because Shadowstalker is completely useless, but she can, like, phase in and phase out. So she's trying to, like, have the bolts phase in inside of Leviathan. I think she's like, I'm getting close. Yeah. And then Flechette is just like, pow, pow, pow. And it's all incredibly effective.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta wonder, like, these dead center shots, is it better than the thing Armsmaster built?
I guess so. Well, I think she must have some kind of penetration power.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that kind of what I was saying, like, who can open a hole into things? And, like, I bet that that's something she has.
Yeah,
because it's not that her arrow is just so effective, it's that she somehow has the power to get into things.
And Armsmaster has the ability to, like, you know, he had, like, a clock blocker grappling hook or whatever.
He's got to get her power.
There's some interesting...
If he's alive.
That's very interesting. Yeah,
seemed like he was being rescued. Maybe Panacea will give him his arm back. I don't know if it works like that.
Oh, yeah.
Taylor did rescue his arms, so...
The only other cape thing, the Trickster Velocity combo, where Velocity is fast enough to run across the water, like, grab someone who's hurt, and then Trickster can, like, swap.
Well, he runs across the water, and then Trickster swaps him with someone who's hurt.
Right. Yeah, he's swapping
then
Velocity.
Then he runs back and gets swapped again. Trickster was really clutch in saving people in this.
Yeah, he saves Flechette. I mean... I almost felt like now that it's down to the underdogs a bit, the coordination is getting better.
Well, that's true.
Like, maybe it's just that the fight is going on longer. They've managed to make some connections or something, you know.
I mean, overwhelming numbers at the beginning. It just, you know, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. I guess I feel like, because you were pretty hard on their overall strategy, right, so far. And I guess, do you feel like you're still... hard on them? I feel like the vibe in this chapter is different. I was like really rooting for...
Yeah, it was much more effective. I mean, the chaos of the first couple of chapters of the fight, it's just like, there's such powerful heroes here. You'd think they would be better at this. But Leviathan's really tough, and he is weakened at this point. He's less fast. He's taken a lot of blows.
Yeah, and we see, right, like we were saying, like Taylor and Gru, like every second counts, so like I'm glad they're here, even though they are putting themselves at risk.
I did come around and like, okay, it makes sense to bring all of the capes, because then you can have someone animate a stuffed animal. But what I don't think makes sense is that there's no military presence. Because we have seen that someone who doesn't have really physical superpowers can still strike a blow using the right tools. You'd think the Tinkers would be able to provide something.
Yeah, why isn't there a Tinker army?
Where's the PRT with their foam? Like...
Well, yeah, part of it is also if Strider, this one cape, was like how they managed to get a bunch of the local wards in Alexandria here, I guess there's the logistics question of like, well, how quickly, like if there's not a military base in Brockton Bay, like maybe you can get some fighter jets or something, but it probably is hard to respond. It's been an hour, right? Like...
Yeah, but they had a couple hours. Maybe they only had like an hour's warning. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a little bit of warning, but
it's been
like 3 or 4 hours since
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, there is a question of like, is there a military base with fighter jets nearby? But we still don't just know about that.
That's actually a huge problem for future Endbringer attacks. How are they going to get there?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that'll be a big problem.
Yeah. Sorry for pointing that out. It really struck me on a reread that I was like, I sort of forgot that they had access to Strider, but they don't.
Yeah, now they don't.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about Taylor's mindset. We get 3 beats in the chapter of her being very pessimistic / realistic about Leviathan, which after everything she's seen makes sense. But like, she thinks about like, well, okay, I guess it's good that he's not going to the shelter Danny's probably at. But Danny doesn't have to be at that shelter, so I shouldn't get my hopes up, right? Like, she's very negative. You know, like, oh, we have the upper hand, but that's not a good thing. When we get the upper hand, Leviathan just, bounces back and does something crazy. And correctly, right, he creates this enormous crater and then starts...
Like, Flechette shoots him through the head, and she's like, no way they can
she thinks,
that easy.
No. Much as I'd like it to be, there's no fucking way it was going to be that easy, right? I just really like that, the juxtaposition of her knowing hopelessness and the fact that she keeps going, right? It's also part of that, like the appeal of her character.
That's really true. I feel like the effect of this arc is like, I just really want to see these Endbringers come down. Like, they're just, they've been wailed on in so many ways and so much damage has been done, but it's not enough. And I'm just like, no, bring down the boss. So I do think that's going to be a big, driving force of the story going forward, that these are the problem.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Bigger than any other danger facing humanity, this is it.
Yeah, the arc title is suggestive as well, right? Extermination.
Not of these guys.
Those are the stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we also had Taylor get a bird's eye view of the destruction. Another great, narrative payoff of hooking her up with a flyer in this chapter, right? But, the Weymouth Mall of slap fame has now been destroyed.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. And the bit where the crater is forming and Taylor is running and she sees the crater forming in front of her, as she's falling, as the water is rushing down on top of her, it's disaster movie stuff. It is so compelling. Oh man. A lot of good writing. We don't have time to read all of the good passages.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good writing.
It's very well done, yeah.
I also liked Taylor's Wanted to Fly. She flies for the first time. And Worm is a realistic story. It's underwhelming. Laser Dream has morning breath. Uh-huh. Taylor's in a cradle carry. She's really afraid of being dropped because Laser Dream doesn't have super strength. It's great that it's so unglamorous. Mm-hmm. Certainly not the wonderful Glory Girl flight that we got in Interlude 2. The last thing I'll say is the line where Taylor notes that Leviathan is cutting down a bunch of civilians. And she thinks, oh yeah, no armband announcements for that.
Yeah.
It's that was so devastating to me.
Yeah,
right?
Their lives aren't being counted.
Right. And the story, I'm willing to say the story is about capes, right? That is what Worm is about. It's about what it's like to be a cape, and cape society is more important narratively. There are more stakes there than in the civilian society. Focus. Right, that's the focus. And so this was a very effective way to also pull me out of that way of thinking. And, and we've seen these neighborhoods destroyed. It's also full, Brockton Bay is going to be reeling after today. So yeah, I mean, what's coming next?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do think Taylor will get healed. I think Tattletale is alive. And I wonder if they're going to reconcile. I think they sort of will, but it'll be a little awkward. The fight about Coil seems so small potatoes compared to the complete devastation of the city. And there are a few things that I feel like could happen. We could get a focus on Coil and what he does in the aftermath, because certainly he wasn't sitting idle during this. I'm sure he was spending his power on it. And if not, or either way, I'm sure he's going to want to take advantage of this complete devastation to bring everything under his control. He probably didn't lose any soldiers. Basically an army presence. They were there, did not fight. He didn't lose any of his soldiers. And I also wonder, kind of what I want is I want the heroes to get together and have a summit and figure out okay, how can we do better with the Endbringers? And I want Tattletale to give them information.
Yes. How do we get Tattletale to that summit?
Yeah, is there a debriefing that happens usually after Endbringer fights? There should be.
Yeah.
That would be really smart.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of this hero-villains question. I really wanted it, to me, reading this arc, when Armsmaster comes over to Tattletale at the beginning of the fight, the what if that I want is him being look, you suck, but I know your power is good. Let's work together.
Yeah,
right?
Seriously.
That's what I want. I want Tattletale in Taylor's position in the Armsmaster fight last chapter, right? Where she can be okay, this is what I'm learning,
Yes. Yeah, and instead he's let's get bitches' dogs there. And you're why do you care, buddy? They're not going to do anything, clearly. So yeah, those are a couple of threads that seem like something might happen with them. I'm really nervous about the whole Panacea hates Taylor and Tattletale situation.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to, because I feel I've made it sound ominous. Do you want to be what are the worst things that could happen? Speculate in a this would be terrible direction. She
would leave them injured and dying, but she could do something to them the way she threatened to do to that guy.
Yeah.
Which I don't know that she would.
Yeah.
But they feel very vulnerable to me, exposed in their hospital beds and tied up. Yeah. I'm very curious if Armsmaster is alive, which probably, if he made it, he probably got healed. If Armsmaster is alive, if he is going to have a conversation with Taylor. Because she did save him. He wouldn't have gotten rescued if she hadn't gotten his arm. Yeah, we talked last time, will he be happy to have had a witness or mad?
Yeah.
Yes, that'll be interesting. I don't know. Everything got knocked over. So many people are dead.
Yeah.
The city is destroyed. Like, it just feels like there are too many variables to know exactly what's coming next.
Yeah.
But
well,
I'm hoping for healing and debrief, because those would be smart steps.
Okay. Well, the chapter starts, all of the adrenaline, emotions, and...
pain. Yeah, I guess we're going to get some reflection on... I hope she gets to, like, fall asleep or something, but in that kind of pain, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, no new cape names, so we can leave it
Who
here.
could be new at this point? Well, I guess we'll find out more next time.
On Inchworm. Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildbow. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.